Today I am catching up with the amazing producing duo Moonshine on some of my favorite works they have done in 2021. Oh, and Adrian McKinnon's gonna be here.
My name is Jonathan.
Yeah, and my name is Ludwig.
And together we're... oh, wait, what?
Always.
Oh! I see what's coming.
I had to stall for so long.
I'm
Hi,
so
man.
sorry. What's up, guys?
This song succeeds in creating such a perfect vibe for perhaps a movie scene where a group of people get together to go on a secret mission to solve a code. What kind of vibe or scene were you trying to create with CØDE? And once again, were there any movie or video game inspirations for this?
Yes. First of all, visually, I was playing Cyberpunk 2077. Or I was anticipating playing Cyberpunk 2077 at the time. And I remember seeing a lot of the visuals for the promo for that particular video game. There's a lot of neon colors, a lot of pinks, a lot of like really cool, vibrant colors for that sort of tech, sort of cyber future vibe. And the track felt very much like that. Melodically, I was inspired by some old NES video games that were, composed by amazing Japanese composers. It was more notable in the first verse. Na 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 na. That part right there was inspired. I can't remember what game it was. Maybe like Blaster Master or something. Just little things like that where you can draw from your childhood and bring a melody that always just sticks with you to throw into an idea. It's always a great opportunity to do that. CØDE was a very cool feel. When I first heard it and you had that sort of that hissing build up at the beginning, it blew me away. I loved that track.
Yeah, you had several concepts as well, or like at least like alternating titles, because I remember you asking us especially about the title, because you had two.
It was CØDE and it was...
And Blue City, I think.
Blue City. Yeah. Because the chorus was "Take me from this cold blue city."
Yeah.
That's what it was.
It's hilarious because when we were writing that song, all of us were so anticipating that release of Cyberpunk. I think that we actually had that kind of in the back of our heads making that track as well.
Oh, really?
I don't think we never... like, the thing is, when you say it, like, I was also realizing how much we were looking forward to Cyberpunk. But I don't think we talked about it, ever.
No. I think it was in our chat. I was like, dude, this like Cyberpunk vibes. You guys were like, yeah, totally.
Right?
Right.
Yeah. When we started creating that track, I do believe like we started off with that intro, and that intro has a completely different identity from the rest of the track. I do recall that we started off trying to make like a slow R&B type of song. You finally came to the point where like, no, let's just kill that idea and just create something entirely different. I love that concept of actually building up this world. Like you get this super ambient kind of vibe and then just breaking off into, okay, no, was literally just an intro. You're not even being introduced to the general sound of the song that is going to be for the next 3 minutes. It's just
It's like sampling yourself.
I really did appreciate the intro for that reason, because it did have like a hint of what you were about to anticipate in the full part of the song, but it was instrumentally completely different. It was a soft tone. It allowed for us to do something different, and so you guys play with dynamic so well, and I really appreciate how you guys work, man.
Likewise.
I had a question.
Yeah?
I have a question for you guys. There's a strong melody in the track. Da, 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 da. That's a very earwormy melody. How do you balance out when a melody's coming in from vocals and still have space for that melody to still work the way that it does? A lot of times when I get a melody that way, I'll sort of work around it. So if you're doing anything, I'll either do a counter melody or I'll stay out of the way when it does its thing. How did you guys know that it was going to work out so well?
I don't know. I don't think we thought about it as like the main hook thing. We thought like it could be in the background with like something more substantial over it.
To be completely honest, this is one of those cases where you do something that is the complete opposite of what at least I expected. Because I was like, okay, this is gonna be the instrumental part. This is gonna be for the performance aspect and just dancing, maybe one chant here and there or ad-libs. But you're singing on top of it. and somehow it just matches. So like I have that exact same question for you. It's like it's a very, very super instrumental part and you still make vocals work. So it's like we really don't know.
A lot of it has to do with the mix too, though. Like you guys, you master your mix very well, so where they both have their space to shine. And I know the chorus actually had, when we first did the chorus, again, this chorus was spearheaded by Kenzie. It wasn't as busy as it was before. There was some space in between. It was, let's crack the code.
Wow.
It had more space. And then Kenzie came back with probably some notes from SM to make the changes and make it a little more full, more busy, to feel more like a chorus. But it still worked.
Final question about CØDE. So the instrumental for CØDE is both sparse harmonically and texturally. You can call it extremely simple, but also detailed at the same time. So Adrian, were there any specific instrumental cues that inspired you to write a certain kind of melody?
That was it. Like that little part right there. Yeah, that was the part that hit me the most, and that's how it started. I also remember being inspired by the sub at the beginning, the sub notes, outlining the chord progression before we even got into the start of the verse. So along the rap section is what it essentially became to be. That was a big part of it too. Those two parts in particular were what sent me to that realm of the cyberpunk of the video game sort of start off. So I would definitely attribute it to those two elements.
And then when the verse comes in and we have that note, that singular fundamental note just being drawn out, and then the chords change towards the end of a long time of it being held out. Since that is so incredibly sparse and that is the main focus, is that kind of bass line easier or harder to ride over because it doesn't necessarily have a lot of different sounds going on and harmony to cue you into writing something?
I think it depends on how inspired you are in the moment. I used to be thrown off by productions that were too full when I first started writing years ago. Mm-hmm. It's like I don't feel like I have any space to do anything. But eventually you figure out that you can do anything. You can do whatever you want. Sometimes it is a little easier when it's a little more open, because then you have different directions you can go melodically speaking. And I think you have to play the fourth dimension a lot too. You can go ahead and listen to the chorus and see what it's doing there and go, okay, that's where we want to go. That's our destination. What do we want to do? And at this point, maybe we can do the opposite for the sake of dynamic, or, there's different ways you can analyze how to approach a melody, but it's never as beginning to end as you might think. I might have nothing for the verse at first, and the first thing that comes to mind is the chorus, or even the bridge. Like, I have nothing here, let me do this. And then that gets the ball rolling for another part of the song. For CØDE, however, it was definitely the beginning that kicked it off. Like, as soon as I heard it, I was like, yeah, okay, here we go.
But I have the same exact question for Moonshine. Did you ever write something in this track to purposefully nudge the writer to do something? Like, for example, I think, is it like a low-pass filter in the pre-chorus to encourage the songwriter to do something in a specific range or soaring melody?
I think the pre-chorus is actually edited after the top line. I'm gonna be honest, from my point of view, I don't know if you agree, actually Kenzie chose this track to work on. She had a lot of tracks to choose from. I personally was very surprised that she chose this track. It was not among my favorites, just because I thought it was a little bit boring. I really just wanna applaud you guys, because what I instantly got when you talked about writing the verses is this song would never work if not everything was awesome. And when you get into the verses and just the rhythmics, because it's so 4 on the floor easy, and you do all this rhythmical stuff and with the melody, and you're like, okay, now it's good.
No, it's a so good track.
Yeah, because I didn't like the track, and then I got a top and I'm like, this track is so fucking good. Nothing had changed.
Right? Yeah. The top line elevates the track to a new level.
And I think with this song we were really happy about we really liked the soundscape, the sound of the song we thought was really cool. We thought it was a bit flat.
We come sort of from an EDM background where you're supposed to produce instrumentals that are interesting enough to listen all the way through the entire song, even though there's no vocals. That's where we come from. That's kind of our problem generally when we're making tracks. We're almost packing it too much. And somehow Adrian makes it work. But this is one of those tracks where we're actually okay, we gotta stick to the simpleness of just keeping that bass line. And it gets to a point where we get bored of it, basically. It's we could have made like more interesting stuff in there, but that's a good thing because then you complement that in the top line. You make that interesting by the top line, and that is what makes the entire song. I think there's so many nuances and colors in the top line, while the production is very static.
Like you said, the overall theme, the overall tone of the song was like, you know, regardless of whether or not it was doing a whole lot of stuff chord progression wise, that was all inspiring enough, you know. Because you guys always, every single time, you choose the best instruments. I need to ask you guys what instruments you're using, by the way, what software you got going on. But every single time, that's enough. You know what I mean?
I do have one question left for CØDE, but it is specifically just for Moonshine.
Okay.
So unless you guys wanted to talk about any other aspects of this song together, I think it is time to say goodbye to Adrian.
All right.
Okay.
Nothing else.
So nice to
tell
see
you
you
guys-
again.
Yeah,
Adrian.
so
Go
nice to
away.
see
That's
you.
Great to see you again. We'll do some more work in the near future.
Yeah,
I love and
hopefully we can
appreciate you
meet
all.
in person.
Yeah, like here's the
I
thing.
know.
We've written so many songs together, but we've never met in person. But it feels like we've already met each other. But I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully we'll be able to make that happen.
Yes, very soon, near future,
Yeah.
hopefully. Take care. Enjoy
Take care,
the rest of
Adrian.
your interview.
Take care.
Umo,
Thank
it's
you
always
so
good to
much
see
for
you.
joining us.
My pleasure.
If any of our viewers watching right now have any questions for Adrian specifically, of course, we're going to have to catch up with him in his own individual interview sometime soon. And in the meantime, please stream 2 Up to Be Down while we wait for that interview.
Yeah, plugging that 2 Up. You should definitely check it out. Completely different inspiration, different approach to musicality, and you know, we've got more on the way. The group is called Way Out. That includes me, Tay Jasper, London Noise, and we have a lot of fun with making music. But yeah, I really appreciate this interview. Thank you guys so much.
Fun surprise.
Yes, on a scale of 1 to 10, how surprised were you?
10.
10. Indeed.
So you talked a little bit about how the bass line in CØDE may get boring eventually, but for me, it never did. Maybe that was because of the top line and how it interacted with it. But I wanted to ask, how do you, in your mind, successfully write a riff in a pop song?
I think it's just about putting it in different contexts. Oh, it's so lame to use like a cooking reference. But if you think about pesto, it's like, yeah, pesto is great. But if you eat pesto with pasta every day, you're gonna get bored. But you can put pesto on like salmon or chicken, or, you know, do it in a salad. And it's kind of like that thing. It's like you need to put it in different contexts so you get a new experience of the same thing. So for us, a lot of times that's like the sound, or like the chords behind it, or like the rhythmics, or like the beats. And if you change one of those variables, you kind of get a fresh sound.
Watch me go now.
And it has to be a good hook, because sometimes you do everything as I said and it's still boring.
We're very picky when it comes to hooks because it's supposed to be like the main anthem of the song, like of the instrumental specifically. And it really has to have a certain quality to it in order to kind of bear that entire track. I mean, we did that in Peekaboo. Like there is a main thing there. Same thing goes in CØDE. And there's a lot of other songs that we're doing the same type of thing. But we're also thinking of hooks as different things. It's not like that we only use a synth sound for it. If we take, for example, Turn Back Time, we're using like percussion basically as a hook. That is kind of the thing that goes through the entire song that keeps it all together. We just challenge ourselves to kind of play around a hook, no matter if it's percussion, if it's a synth, if it's a vocal chopped thingy, and try to put it into different contexts. I would say that's the biggest thing. Like that's the thing we do that we're playing around with the most.
Yeah.
Right. And for CØDE specifically, since it's the same rhythm and same main sound that you adjust throughout, what I was wondering is, how did you come up with the idea of like, oh, let's have it muted here, oh, let's add some distortion here, oh, let's like, how do you come up with the idea like, oh, it needs to start panning to the left now and to the right? When does that come into play?
It's not like we think about everything we do. I think it's a matter of experimenting.
Yeah.
Like we probably tried 100 more things that didn't end up in the song. With like a hook, usually it's just us having the same kind of source material sitting on one computer each, and just like, what if I do this, what if I do that, and then we find like 5 cool things each, and then we just get together and just like, okay, we can use that there, we can use this there,
Yo.
So like it's kind of building with Legos. It's like, yeah, I have 5 red bricks here, and like you have 5 blue bricks, and you're like,
exactly.
oh, we can just like, so you like combine them. So yeah, that's basically how we get that going. I think.
I mean, I love that analogy, but yeah, that's exactly how it works. It's also a lot of happy accidents, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's like my computer starts lagging or messing up. It's like, hey, that sounded quite cool. Like then we kind of try to emulate that. It's like weird things. Like you can send me a ride symbol, just like a one-hit sample. And it's like, hey, there's a note there. And then I pitch it, and I was trying to pitch it to the fundamental of the song or whatever. But then it got wrong. And then you got like a tritonus in there or whatever. Like it could be whatever. And it's like, hey, that sounds odd and really nice at the same time. It's a lot of those small things as well. It's not always as calculated as it may look when you listen to the song.
Did any of those happy accidents happen when creating the hook for Gimme Gimme?
Yeah. I would say it's the syncopization in the chorus. It was you that made that. We decided on, okay, this is going to be the chords for the chorus. Sorry, are we talking about
CØDE
or
Gimme Gimme
I'm talking about the wrong song.
again?
You made the main kind of synth, the pads for the chorus, and I accidentally put it like, I don't know, like a eighth note before the one in the chorus. And we're like, hey, didn't anticipate that, but that turned out awesome,
Yeah.
you know?
Let's crack the code. Need to solve.
When it comes to Gimme Gimme, I think that's when we were really challenging ourselves to make a very, very minimalistic track. It's how we made that work that is so satisfying. It's like having this one hook, and we're using it both in the vocal melody as well as in the instrumental, and kind of fusing it together and making such an interesting combination.
Bobby Lewis, who like you should talk to sometime, he's a excellent and weird dude. And
In the best way possible.
In the best way possible.
Yeah.
But that dude can spit bars like no one I ever met. And it's like catching lightning in a bottle every time he's in the studio.
Yeah.
So usually when we're in the room with him, we just put on the mic, put it on a loop, and he just goes up and start freestyling over it. And the things that come out of him are like the best, the greatest, or the most awesome. I love that top line so much.
Yeah.
I think that's why I like keep listening to it more than like the production.
It was during a camp that we had here in Stockholm, and we were put together with Cassie and Bobby for one day to write the song. And we played the track of Deja Vu as well as the track of Gimme Gimme. They initially wanted to work on the Deja Vu track because like that's a really, really hard track. Like I would love to play around with this, but we actually kind of were pushing for doing the Gimme Gimme track because it's quite more simplistic, but that's also like, we have you guys in the studio. We would love to see what you can come up on that. Like, since the track is so simplistic, what can you guys do that kind of complements that simplicity? And that turned out to be a very, very experimental top line. We wrote that like in half a day.
Yeah.
And then we jumped on and wrote Deja Vu as well.
It was a really good day.
It was a very good day.
That was an insane day.
Yeah.
When did the kick drum rhythms come into play? Were those there before the top line, or after you caught the lightning in the bottle with the top line, you decided to add in the...
No,
Yeah.
it was there.
Yeah, it was there from the top.
Yeah.
We have that super simple synth. We have to make it interesting somehow. And it's like we usually get to quite, we tend to go for more simplistic kind of drum things. So why not just break our own rules, basically?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Because I was wondering if you ever put in percussion rhythms just to see if like Taeyong could dance that fast to them. Because you saw in the music video that he actually moved to like every single one of those, right?
We seriously think a lot about performance. For us, we really like K-pop and like the dancing and the music videos and the aesthetic. And for us, like the dancing and the rhythm of it is super important.
When we're talking about dynamics, we're not only talking about volume, right? We're talking about that rhythm as well. So
momentum.
Yeah, exactly. So if we're coming out from a chorus that is very legato and we have a lot of small 16th notes in the hi-hat or whatever, then we want to kind of fuse that into a vocal for the second verse, for example. Having some rhythm stay out from the chorus to kind of keep that momentum and start building it up from scratch again, but kind of not just going into a halt and then just rebuilding everything over again.
For a song to be a single on like a K-pop band, it has to be danceable. Like it has to be, have to be able to move to it. And it's a weird aspect, and it's a weird demand to be put on us to be like, oh, you need to make music in a way that you absolutely can dance to it. But it's super fun. And in the end, like, you start to like see things. The favorite thing, like after middle eight, it's down, it's chill, and you know it's gonna be like close-up shots and it's gonna be cool. And then you do like the rap part before the chorus, and you just know it's gonna be like formation, and they're gonna walk fast in front of the camera, and they're gonna start moving. You like, you see it in your head, you're like, yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
And speaking of the second verse, you also add in some industrial clanging bell-like percussion noises that I've also hear in Earthquake. Is it since Tiger Inside that you guys started leaning towards putting bell-like clanging sounds in your tracks?
Maybe.
I can't really recall which song came first, but we're keen to that type of sound, and like regardless. I mean, we love using weird kind of percussion, especially percussion, because like you get bored of a tambourine or like the general kind of rhythmic percussion that you use.
It has a nice texture as well. It's like, it sounds like raw and pretty. How is it? Like for the darker songs, it brings like that kind of coolness, I guess is the right word. I don't know how to explain it, but it feels right. Feels like primal and a bit rough, and you know.
If you want things to sound badass, you don't imagine a guy standing like this with a tambourine. That doesn't happen.
No, but all at the same way. And like if you do like the distorted guitars, it sounds a bit try hard. But like movie soundtracks, you know, make it sound a bit like mystic and primal. Like there's a rawness to it.
So is that why you chose to use it in Earthquake to accompany the dark movie
100%.
vibe? Did the concept come first for Earthquake or the track?
The track.
Because someone's vocal is going, "Save me," or something like that in the background.
Save me?
There's someone. It sounds like "Save me." It might be something completely different.
Yeah, it's Ebenezer. And he's actually just adding this down-pitched vocal singing earthquake, you know, so...
But it's actually Deez that did a lot of like the vocal processing thing on that, so it's just like quick, there's like quick. But it's so hard to hear those things. Like when you know what it is, it's easy, but like before it's a misheard lyrics all over.
Wow. What were you guys imagining when creating the vibe of the song? What kind of scenery were you hoping the listener would experience?
I think the guys came really close to what we imagined kind of for the song.
We made it as this type of like super energetic hype song, basically. And I think they made a really, really good job with it. I think, however, like the chorus is the twist. The natural thing would have been to go in with a chant. But Deez made a really, really good job with both the melody and the harmonies in there too. Because, you know, it's very bombastic, it's very aggressive in the chorus. When Deez came with those almost like chords, he broke the chords with the vocal. We then afterwards backed that up with adding those synths and colorings and those chords in the instrumental as well. That was a bit of a headache kind of making that work and making that fuse, because those two worlds love a very melodic type of chorus along with a very static and very just aggressive badass instrumental.
I also think it's fair to say that we have edited this song a lot of times.
Yeah.
Like, this is not the first chorus. This is like the fourth chorus.
You guys said that this is the typical Moonshine more is more kind of track. So is there a specific favorite hidden layer in the track? I might add that my favorite hidden layers is definitely whatever the heck is all hitting at the start of the chorus.
I think just the bass production of this song, I think, are like very much more. It's a lot of like roaring sounds, and it's pitching, and like the 808s never stay in one place.
Yeah, then it's also the small kind of, I don't know, weird kind of screaming up in the hills kind of like those things all over the place. There's no motivation for why we put them in other than it sounded pretty cool, at least to us. Like that's the only reason, and those small things really add really nice nuance to this very heavy and gnarly bass, basically.
And speaking of heaviness, so can you look at the project right now and see how many layers there are?
There is approximately like 6 different basses going simultaneously in the chorus, but that also includes us layering those basses with, for example, a piano, because in order to get kind of just frequency-wise, it's quite hard to get some mid information into just synth bases. So basically, we've been using a lot of filter automation, so it opens up and it closes down. Same thing goes for that piano. And I think if you get to listen to the instrumental, you can actually hear that piano in there, and that is what actually fills out a lot of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's just synths and it's almost too messy. But the thing that really fills up the spectrum the most is actually a piano.
All right, sorry we went a little bit over, but one final question for you guys.
Yeah, sure. We have time. It's cool.
Are you manifesting working with anyone in 2022? Do you have anything specific for fans of Moonshine to look forward to?
I mean, let's get real with you. Like, we really, really hope that we'll be able to work live with people from all over the world. I mean, that's maybe a boring answer, but that's the honest truth. I mean, we've been sitting in our studio down here in Stockholm for a couple of years now. Our main source of inspiration was from traveling the world and then meeting inspirational writers and talented musicians. And us being stripped away of that possibility of actually being in the same room and kind of jamming with them, that is something that is very much necessary for us to kind of be as creative as possible.
Yeah, regarding artists, there's a lot of cool stuff happening with a lot of different artists. We're really inspired and happy to work on some stuff we're working on right now. I really love the new thing that a lot of companies are doing, especially SM is putting a lot of people together in different constellations, and I think that project, their first single, we have nothing to do with it. I just really like that song.
Yeah, I mean,
I got really inspired when I heard it. I was like, this is cool.
It's a great opportunity to make something unique. It makes something that is quite unusual, because most acts in Korea have their sound, and of course, sometimes they're throwing a curveball of a single that really blows you away. In general, they're all having their each individual sound, and combining different members from different bands is a genius concept in order to kind of get a unique touch mixing different sounds. As you know, we've worked for Super M on a couple of songs, and that is a really, really fun challenge, trying to combine multiple bands kind of soundscapes.
All right, so we're manifesting 2022 Moonshine GOT.
Yeah,
we are.
Girls on top.
Yeah.
Manifest with us, everyone. Manifest. Unless that's already happening, then we don't know.
Speaking of manifesting, this is quite fun, because during our interview for Super M, I saw that interview and I realized that at the time you are talking about knocking on wood that COVID will be over. That is exactly at the same time where we got the confirmation that Knock on Wood was going to be released with Red Velvet.
Wow!
So you can actually see in that video me kind of smirking, trying to hide my smile, because what are the chances for you to use that exact title that we the exact same day got basically the request or the confirmation.
That's so funny. You know what? We're magical here. We get things done.
Yeah, indeed.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Of course. Anything for you guys. Wow, thank you so much for joining me today. It was so fun chatting with you guys and Adrian. And we'll feature you guys soon. We'll feature maybe some conversation with other producers as well, like producer roundtable. Just
that would be
chatting it up,
awesome.
Yeah.
Having a good time.
Sign us up, and thank you so much for having us again. I mean, it's always a pleasure talking to you. And you're always good at catching small details that we didn't even really reflect upon until you asked those questions. So thank you for awesome questions and for a good time.